What is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and today's show is going to be packed. There are a ton of things going down as we speak. Right as we're going live right now, Jack Dorsey just tweeted that hyperinflation is going to change everything, and it is happening right now. That is a big deal coming from somebody like him. We're going to talk about that, and of course, Taiwan being circled by ships. Very, very crazy stuff going down right now. So stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. They want your family to divide. Like Jigga said, let's buckle up and ride. They want your family to divide. Like Jigga said, let's buckle up and ride. They want your family to divide. Boom, 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 boom. Ooh, boom, 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 boom. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have some huge stories coming out as we're speaking right now. Of course, a tweet just came out from Jack Dorsey saying that essentially it was quote, hyperinflation will change everything, and it's happening right now. Now, many people hear the word hyperinflation and they probably just don't care. We're talking about a changing. Basically, he's saying that it's going to get really bad. Like the economy is about to collapse kind of bad. Let me first, though, for anybody that's new here that just joined the channel, we're going to try to make sure that we back up every single thing we say here, including that tweet, any video, document, article, or, of course, archived picture that we show you is going to be on our website. In fact, we try to back up absolutely everything that we say with a source, so that way you know exactly where your news is coming from. And then if you go to our website, marfooglenews.com, you'll actually be able to follow along. So you'll look for today's thumbnail, 0 trucks leaving China's ports. That is, of course, a picture of the outbound lane or the outgate at the WBCT. So that is the outbound of the container ships and the trucks. The person on Twitter that posted that is claiming that there is nothing leaving. This is exactly what I've said for weeks now. I said that nothing is coming out of China. People said, oh, well, I got something from China just the other day. I ordered it on Thursday and I got it on Saturday. That is by air, and that's one single item that you are getting from a small company, or you're getting it from somebody that's being flown across. There's no such thing as getting something on a boat in 2 days. That won't destroy the economy. That kind of stuff is still going. As far as by the boats, that is all of our stuff in bulk. That is how they get 95% of everything in the country. That is why you are seeing Walmarts and Targets and all of these big box stores essentially putting whatever they can out. We have a video later that basically shows that they filled about 20 aisles with foldable chairs because that's all they had. Again, they went to their warehouse. They were like, what do we have? Well, let's put out 4,000 foldable chairs in Walmart. That's the kind of thing that we're going to see. And actually, I bet you they're going to run out of those kind of placement things because everybody's going, well, I don't got much choice, so let me get a foldable chair, I guess.
Whole houses full of foldable chairs. Life is about to change, and I mean that, and this is my opinion. Of course, follow along because I believe you will think the same by the end of this video. Every single story here today, and I don't usually say this, is going to be a whopper. So once you click on this, you will see all of the articles there. In fact, just look for today's thumbnail, Zero Trucks Leaving, and then you'll be able to find that. Once it finally loads, you'll see that you can actually follow along and go to the actual links for tonight's show. And for whatever reason, it is taking a long time to get there. So, and either way, go to that website. You'll see that on the right side of this page. You will see, if you do want to support us, we are truly independent. You can see any of our affiliates over there. You can do PayPal donations to Dex and I. And then, of course, you can enter the EMP giveaway. Down at the bottom, there is a web-only content. That is basically a whole nother show. Dex will explain that later, but that's basically stuff that we can't cover. It's too far to one direction for us to cover. So, 2,200 already in the chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you everybody for popping in, and thank you Foogle fam. I love you guys, and let's get into it. By the way, Seth Covington, thank you for, before the show even started, Corey G popped in, says hashtag do not comply, stand strong fam, and then Seth Covington, thank you for the super sticker there. Thank you, I appreciate that. Let's bring in Dex before we talk about Alec Baldwin, because in fact, Dex, I'm gonna end up bringing you in, and tonight there are phones, right?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. And yes, the phones are open.
So how do they call you?
Very easily, 224400 Marf, and that is 6273. So just type in on your phone in America 224400 Marf. 6273 is the numbers for Marf, and then press number 4.
So again, if you want to call in 2244006273 and then press option 4 to get a hold of Dex, he'll be on the phones tonight. And then Vibron, thank you so much from Australia. I appreciate that. And then IATSE says Alec Baldwin Rust prop gun had live round. Cops say hasn't been determined. So if you did not hear, Alec Baldwin, the very famous SNL star, very famous actor in general, he's been on everything from, of course, SNL to my kid's favorite movie, of course, Boss Baby. That plays at least once a day in this household. You'll see that he, in fact, took someone's life, a woman cinematographer, and I believe she was an award-winning cinematographer. And what happened is he had a prop weapon, and it ended up being a real bullet. So they haven't really, they've gone over many things. I've heard that it's a real bullet, that it was a fully real thing. People are, of course, theorizing that it was switched, that he did it on purpose because there were all these protests. I have to say, I am on the side of innocent until proven guilty because that's how it's supposed to be. But of course, society has gone towards this whole rush to judgment, cancel before you even see the full tape kind of thing. Cancel before you even know if it even looks like something. That's what it is, and then you'll have to prove yourself. Of course, innocent instead of the vice versa, which is innocent until proven guilty. That is the laws. A lot of people say that he murdered, right? I saw Candace Owen tweeted, said, and again, people see Candace Owens and then they just immediately freak out because it's her. But her statement was, let me correct that last tweet. He killed someone, not murdered. Murdered has a different legal definition, and that is absolutely true. When you murder someone, that is an actual definition that is different than killed. We don't know if he murdered that person. If he murdered that person, that would be that he tried to kill that person or, did it with some sort of intent or a bunch of responsibility for it. Now, a lot of people are debating if he was responsible for it. He was the producer of the movie. He overall, was probably in charge or somehow responsible for who was looking after those, props. But again, did he intend to do it? Did he intend to take someone's life? Or was it a scene where, they're firing at the actual camera? I've seen it a million times in films. In fact, one of the Avengers movies just showed, what's her face? One of the, I want to say that it was the girl who shoots the arrows. There's an extra scene there where it actually shows, and it's on a short that you can look up. She is shooting a bow and arrow, and she has such good aim in real life that she got square right in the middle of the lens, and it actually destroyed a $20,000 camera. Now, I could see something like that happening where, you know, you're aiming at the camera and you want it to, they would do an effect. He would fire it, and the thing would crack in the middle, and they would add an effect like it was breaking the fourth wall. But again, lots of talk about this. It says, law enforcement do not know right now if the prop weapon that Alec Baldwin fatally fired on a New Mexico film set yesterday contained a live single round, despite claims from LAIATSE local. It says, quote, "We haven't even begun the forensics on that issue," Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office spokesman Juan Rios told Deadline this morning. "That hasn't been determined by us as of yet." It says that we expect to have more information next week as our investigation continues. Now, that's how it should be, but people are jumping the thing on this, and they are immediately saying that he did this on purpose, and this is because of his political beliefs and that people were protesting. I would say hold judgment until this all comes out. He just took someone's life. He is going to have to live with that. The person whose life was taken is no longer with us. That is horrible. This entire thing is absolutely tragic. I don't know Alec Baldwin, and I don't even know what he's like off of set. But I wouldn't think somebody would just generally do that, period, especially while on film. That's just not, that's not usually how people commit crimes. They don't usually ask for a full-on theatrical setup to take someone's life. In fact, it's probably the opposite. They wouldn't do it if they were on camera. So who knows? It says cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed by the weapon Rustar producer Baldwin discharged on Thursday, and they are careful to say discharged. On Thursday, location just outside of Santa Fe, director Joel Souza was injured too and taken to a local hospital. So it went through the camera woman and into the director as well. So this, I would assume, what is your opinion? Do you think this is a live round? I would assume if it went through, that's not an action that a blank would take. I don't know. We've had so many weird stories, like this whole Landry thing that just finished up, and now we're going to have this. This is probably going to be 2 weeks of distraction. I would say, if you are a fan of Alec Baldwin, I would pray for him. Even if you hate Alec Baldwin, I would hope that some sort of proper justice comes out of this. Hopefully, if he did do it on accident, he gets the charges of an accident. Because of his high profile, position, he probably won't get a fair shake if they find out any kind of bad stuff. And right now, they're pulling out every stop on anything he has said over the last 20 years is all over Twitter. Anything that is negative about him is being put out. Of course, I'm sure there's people supporting him as well. Mindy Bowman says, "Let's go, Brandon." And then Sal Zacone says, "Let's go, Brandon." That's because that's, of course, what they were chanting. Texicali 74 says, "Let's go, Brandon. Just keep it going." And then Sherry Lynn says hello, and then thank you again for subscribing. Swamp Fox, Sherry Reynolds, John Ram, and March Hare. Thank you, everybody that just joined the channel. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think it was an accident that Alec took that person's life? I'm sure I'm praying for him to heal from that. It also says that the crew walked off the set in protest before the shooting took place. So this is a lot of why they're actually doing it. It says why they're saying that this was on purpose. The camera operators and their assistants were frustrated by the conditions surrounding the low-budget film, including complaints about long hours, long commutes, and collecting their paychecks, according to 3 people familiar with the matter who were not authorized to comment. So why are they commenting? Well, loose lips sink ships. So first of all, all of these people are supposed to be under NDA. They're all sharing hearsay This is, again, what millions of people will believe. This is a biased article. And then, of course, it makes him look like a piece of crap, like he's making people work through this demic, whatever else. I know that these people signed up to do this job in the desert or wherever it's being shot. They probably expected it. I don't know. I know mostly just, blue-collar working people. I do know that the film industry, they're probably not paid millions of dollars, but they are paid for, a good chunk of money. They all have comfortable livings if they're working on bigger films like this. So are they, overly complaining about what normal people would just call a normal day on the job? I don't know that. So are they really being treated like, is he on a horse with the reins just smacking down? Or is it taken out of context, and are they taking advantage of a situation that others are as well? It says safety protocols standard in the industry, including inspections, were not strictly followed on Rust set near Santa Fe. See, this is where he would end up getting charged. If they did not strictly follow the actual GUN inspections, this is where he might get charged and actually put in jail. That's a big one. If they can prove that, then he would be screwed. Because he is a producer as well. It says 3 crew members who were present at the Bonanza Creek Ranch set that day said that they were particularly concerned about the 2 accidental prop discharges on Saturday. So there were 2 other ones? Like, this just sounds really weird. It says Baldwin's stunt double accidentally fired 2 rounds Saturday after being told that the was cold. Lingo for that a weapon doesn't have any ammunition, including blanks. One of the crew members who witnessed the episode told the Los Angeles Times. This is just like insane. Why, even if it was blanks, why would he be aiming it towards the camera person, or was he firing it as part of a scene? This whole thing is just really weird. I wonder, since this is on a film set, are they going to release the actual film? Is there film? There's usually multiple camera angles. There's usually audio being recorded. There's usually people with their cell phones on set recording these. There's usually secondary cameras that are there for backup scenes, or for behind the scenes. Almost all of these movies have a DVD backup scenes feature where they film all of the video being made and then show it later on the DVD. So I just wonder what's going to come out of this. I'm holding judgment. What do you guys say? Let me know in the comments below. Really crazy. This is proof of at least $7.59 per gallon in a California town. That's right, almost $8 a gallon. It says this town has long been known for having some of the highest prices in the country. That is insane. $8. And then look at the first comment. That's pretty funny. Hashtag deal with it. So it's only going to get worse. Just wait. By the way, we're going to load up that actual comment here. This is what I was talking about. Now, I told you guys a month ago, and I gave you guys warning at least a week ago too, that everybody needs to grab stuff while they still can. And this isn't exaggeration. This is if you have not gotten ships or any containers basically being unloaded for months at a time, our entire system is going to collapse. They of course always have these backups. They have warehouses, and this is how this explains this, right? In warehouses, they have a lot of extra items that they'll buy in bulk that are easy to ship. These are all foldable chairs. So they can, this many chairs can fit on one container. No joke. Like, these are tiny when they're folded up. So it does make sense that they would have a ton of these, but this is insane. This is like 30 aisles of all foldable chairs. And no, this isn't a foldable chair warehouse. This isn't Folding McToldies over here. This is an actual big box store that has only got chairs. This is scary. I'm sorry. This is absolutely horrifying, because guess what? That means they have no product. It says it's hit all right. Next, they will be putting out ceramic critters in the cereal aisle. And, of course, I was talking about those collectible cute animals that were collected years ago. Some of you may have them next to your fine china. But I bet you they're going to be pulling those out very soon here. Brian Keith Prepper, thank you for being the last one out. Karen B, my favorite show now. Nice place, much respect. Well, thank you, Karen B. I appreciate that. And then Seth Covington says murderera. I think that's how you said it. And then great work, Marf. Much love to Gigi. And then We Are Awake News TV just commented. Thank you. And I'll make sure to try to check out your program. And then we have backlog of cargo ships at Southern California ports reaches an all-time high. It is way worse than ever before. I mean, we had 70, then 90. Now it is absolutely insane. Over 100 ships are sitting and waiting to unload, which, by the way, none have left. And it takes time for the ships to come from China, but they haven't left in weeks. So that means not only is it backed up, but even if it was just all cleared out today, it would take forever for these other ships to get here. We are going to hit a period of almost nothing, and guess what? It's going to fall around Christmas time. If, for whatever reason, hypothetically, we're not going to conflict, that we are not going to see a conflict with China in the next, few months even, we will still be out of almost everything. And I mean everything. I know that people don't realize how much China actually supplies the U.S. with, but almost all the stores you're used to, all of them order from China, unless you're talking about, maybe a survival store that does all American products. This is big. The backlog of cargo ships in Southern California reached an all-time high this week as the supply chain crisis continues to overwhelm America's busiest port complex. On Tuesday, more than 100 ships were waiting to unload, thousands of containers outside the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. The backlog has seen dozens of ships idling in the waters outside of the ports for weeks, and the bottleneck is expected to continue into next year. The Bee administration has pledged to expand port operations to address the mounting problems amid an overwhelming demand for imported consumer products and a shortage of trucks, drivers, and warehouse workers, which, by the way, to add to that, they also said that there was a shortage of the actual chassis that those containers go on. BOD and Shan went down in person to the actual docks to Foogle Fam, and they recorded one of the checkpoint people, the people in one of those, security, show me your badge, please, kind of things. And the guy said he thought it was intentional. He thought it was intentional, and he's working there. He said he also said that that they told him that there weren't enough chassis, that it wasn't even about drivers. It was about the metal chassis on the bottom of the containers. Crazy stuff. President B orders companies to ease supply chain bottlenecks or he'll call them out. Hey, stop doing that. Yeah, you. Everybody look at that guy. Because that's how he calls people out. And then we have Grant Stinchfield. This is where some of this info is coming from, and he is there are many people now talking about this. China operates the West Basin Container Terminal at the Port of L.A. Right now, there are 0 trucks in the outbound gate. 0. And then he makes a very, very bold statement here. Again, this is the China-controlled West Basin Container Terminal in the Port of L.A. And there are 0 trucks in the outbound gate. 0. In case you need that to be translated, it's not good. That is, of course, Grant Stinchfield. This link and more are actually linked on our website, marfooglenews.com. Now, remember, you can call in. The number to call in is 224-400-MARF. It looks like we have a first-time caller, Deborah, on the phone. If you want to bring in Deborah, we can. And then also I do want to say thank you over on D-Live. We've got the D-Live crew over there. We've got Zippy Moons dropping Ninja Guineas. In fact, Lisa K as well. Cars on Fridays make me happy. Again, Ninja Guinea is one of the higher compliments you can bestow on somebody on, of course, D-Live. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for supporting our independent little news here. And then Brandon Henschel is in the house. Says, I've worked 24 years in film and TV. Super sus. I agree with you. Yeah, Brendan Henschel, I think you and your wife probably know a little bit about that whole situation there. Do you? I would love to hear what you actually think about that. Do you think that one of his people replaced the actual weapon, or do you think that he would do that? I don't. And I'm not going to judge because these people. I think Alec Baldwin is a likable guy. I've liked most of the movies he's in. I like the kid stuff, but I don't know what he's like in real life. He could be completely evil. He could be the worst guy ever to work for. I don't know. But to say it's because of his beliefs or he's pro this or pro that, come on. I'm sure, that shouldn't have anything to do with this whole prop thing, because in theory, on any movie, doesn't matter, the politics of it, there's supposed to be a fake weapon, right? It's a prop. It's been in movies for as long as movies have been around. Release the Quackin'. Thank you. Hurt my hand, so not typing tonight. Hi, everybody. Scooby-Doo do right. Well, you can hunt and peck. Hunting and pecking. It's a good way to go. Zippy Moons, again, thank you. And then not judging, but when you touch a firearm, you consider it loaded. Prop or not, always check if it's loaded. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And especially if it's a prop thing that looks real and feels real, why would you even point it at somebody? Just in general, I tell my kids if it's a I have Megatron. Megatron is an actual Megatron. The Transformer turns into like a PPC. I forget what model it is. It turns into a old school weapon. If my kid touches that, it is like as a real thing. Like, whoa, keep that down. Put the nose down. Even on a toy. If it's a Nerf gun, do not point that up at people's faces. Period. So, kind of crazy. Lisa K23 again, thank you so much. Light of Love, everyone. Divine 1122, thank you for your continued support of our channel. Thank you for everybody that goes above and beyond for us. That's why we try to go above and beyond for you guys. That's why we put so much work into doing these shows all the time. Big Shot Ben, Zippy Moons, American exports leaving no problem. Shipped 4 containers of pew pew ammo to NZ, Italy, South Africa, etc. So what Zippy Moon just said is that stuff leaving the United States, there's no issue. Coming in is the issue, I'm assuming, right? And the Melissa Schumann Show. Hey, what's going on? I'm glad you guys are both here. I never see you guys both here. That's awesome. Big Shot Ben, what is going on? Zippy Moons, and then Edgy Whalen. So, what do you guys think? I'm sure if you've been on a set even once, I'm sure you know more than me. As far as this goes, pretty crazy stuff. All right, Dex, let's get Deborah, first-time caller on, and talking about 2016-2017 Fort Hood experience. Military was working with the UN, calling from Kentucky. And again, make sure to, if you do want to get in, 224400 Marf. Again, that's 2244006273. And then while we're waiting for Deborah to come in here, I'm going to show you Jack's status here. Hello, Deborah. You're live. You're live on Marfoogle News.
I've been around the military since 1979 when I joined the Navy and then was an officer in the Air Force. I took a DOD job on Fort Hood.
Well, thank you for your service.
I worked there for about 10 years.
Go ahead. By the way, I think there's probably a delay. I'm just going to let you talk, and then if you have a question for me, then let it go. Otherwise, I'm going to let you You have the mic, okay?
Okay. I noticed your show says a lot about getting ready for military with other countries. When I was at Fort Hood, I noticed that the military was drilling to harm the people. I would ask the soldiers if they would harm us. 50% said yes if they were ordered. So then the Screaming Man, I was watching him around that time, and I've seen these white trucks all over the United States and stuff. Well, they were there drilling. And it was eerie. So I really believe that there will be some kind of harm to the citizens. I believe that with these states wanting to succeed from the one state to another state, there's such a division. I think this has been coming for a long time. And I got scared. So I'm bugged out. I am bugged out for sure. No, I don't know how anybody would find me.
Now, why?
I have got caves.
Why exactly?
I've got caves to run to.
Why are you exactly bugged out? Are you just bugged out because you saw something on the internet, or are you bugged out from stuff or from people you know or people you talk to?
People I knew back then. I don't talk to anybody anymore. I'm not on any social media. This scared me. It scared me to the very core. I'm kind of off the grid. I lived through 2 weeks of winter last year without any electric, did just fine. Like I said, I've got caves to run to. I've got ladders down there. I've got supplies. And if they try to come and get me, I doubt they'll find me. Because I grew up with these caves, and it took me about 6 months to find them again.
No.
But I know where they are now.
Can I ask you a question, Deborah? So you are, let me get this straight. Last year or about then is when you bugged out, or you just bugged out?
No, 3 years ago. I've been here for 3 years. I've been scared for 3 years, and I've been watching it get worse and worse and worse. They said stuff was coming. It's here. And I think we beat the one thing in the head.
And by they,
where they're trying to make you do things that you don't want to do.
Okay. No, I'm hearing you. But let me ask you this. Let me go back, because I think I missed something important. I'm sometimes my ADD gets the best of me. So let me ask you this. Who are they? And then you basically they, and you don't need specifics, but you had ex-military or current military or somebody that told you 3 years ago that something was going to be bad, and that's why you're bugged out.
I was working with a soldier. I was working with the soldiers. I'm an RN. I saw these soldiers in my office independently with the doors shut. So I had the opportunity to talk to them about things. And I asked them, because there was so much chatter there, and then there was so much drilling, and they were coming after us. They aren't coming after anybody else. I think they're in cahoots with these other countries. And when the white trucks, do you know who I'm talking about when I say white trucks?
Yes. And I'll pull it up on screen so everybody else does too.
Yeah, they were all over that base. I'm like, why? Why? Why are they here? I got such an uneasy feeling. That's when I started questioning soldiers why they were there.
So are you seeing things now that they told you about 3 years ago?
No, like I said, I've been off the grid, but I see that the stuff that's happening now is what they were talking about that was going to happen. All this stuff that's going on has been planned for years. Like the illness, that's planned.
Well,
that's planned control.
we have to be careful with that. But but there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of stories that we have linked and talked about on our show. Of course, theories, right? So you took it seriously enough to get off of grid. Did you have to sell your whole house to get out, or did you? What did you have to do?
Yeah, I sold everything, left my job, and I don't work anywhere because when I was working in the hospital last year, I saw this stuff was coming, and I turned in my license. I just out. Don't want, if I may go into town twice a month to go shopping.
And you said you were former, was it Air Force?
I was Navy. I was a Navy enlisted Air Force officer.
Huh.
And I worked BOD. I was at GS-11.
Wow. So when you...
And like I've been in the military for years. I never seen nothing until about 2016. Then I saw stuff that bothered me.
Was it Jade Helm?
I have no idea what it was. All I was doing was watching these maneuvers and stuff. They closed down places where civilians couldn't go, and it had always been open. I was like, what's going on? And I would ask the guys, what's going on? Well, I got stories that I can't tell about what went on, because it's just pure evil. Just pure evil. That's all I can say.
Now, can I ask? You don't need to give your exact age, but are you in? What generation are you from?
I was born in the '60s.
Okay. No, that's exactly what I was hoping for. So, since the '60s, obviously we're in. Wow, we're in the 20s. So, I guess you've been around the block for a while. I mean, you've been on Earth for a minute. Do you think you made the right decision by bugging out?
Yep, I know I did. I've got family in the military yet, but they don't say nothing. Mum's the word.
Do they?
They don't say anything.
Do they think you're
and
crazy?
I don't ask.
Or do they understand why you went out?
Well, everybody thinks I'm crazy. I guess they watch too much of the three-letter shows on. They just sit and stare at them. I guess my age people still trust TV.
Yeah, that's
they
for sure.
weren't have the experience that I did.
Well, Deborah,
I don't know. I think everybody should be scared, and I think everybody should be on the lookout for anything.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time. I do have one more question for you, though. Was there anything that has not happened yet that was told to you would happen, but you haven't seen that happen yet? Anything that really was above and beyond? What was that?
ML. Full-blown ML. Not the sheriff, but the marshal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And back then in 2016, they said that they thought that was going to happen?
Yep. That's why I would ask them the question about harming
ourselves. Yeah. And back in 2016 and 2015 is when we had the drills and exercises called Jade Helm.
Uh-huh.
And that is when there was official documents and officials that came out and did leak that military were being asked, would you be able to refrain your own people? So,
right.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
And it's scary that, from my experience, that 50% said yeah if they're ordered, and 50% said no way, never.
And I bet you that's why they tried. I bet, that's why over the last few years we've had a lot of those people that said no way are probably not a part of it, and then they're recruiting a whole new kind that will.
Exactly. Yep. They've been brainwashed.
Well, Deborah, thank you so much for calling. I really do appreciate you, and thank you for your service. And it sounds like you're much happier where you are now than where you were, or is that not true?
Oh yeah. No, I don't associate with too many people because they're all caught up with the current situation, and they're just drinking the Kool-Aid. They love it all. They just love that Kool-Aid.
Well, Deborah, you again, you are on top of it, and you've got a good brain on your shoulders. Thank you so much for calling in tonight. And it's your first time call. Don't be a stranger, okay? If you see something else that you think needs to be let out, let us know, okay?
Oh yeah. There is one other thing.
Okay, go
My
ahead.
brother, 2 weeks ago, saw one of those football field black things in the sky take off from a field here. I was like, "Are you crazy?" He said, "Nope. Me and my friend both we saw it. We couldn't believe it. We were scared to death. It was a big cow field. They saw it take off, and zoom it went."
Do you think it was military, or do you think it was...
I think they got stuff out that we don't know about. Because if you go watch, I think I was seeing right, if you go watch Incredible Mr. Lippet, that was filmed in, 57? There is a stealth bomber in that movie.
Oh, I guess, yeah. I actually know what you're talking about.
If it was back in 57, a stealth bomber, what do they have now?
That's a good point. Well, there's a lot coming out right now, and there's actually a bunch of information that Dex and I were just talking about before the show. I think people are going to start seeing how much more advanced the military's been. People have always guessed that they were about 30 years ahead of us. I think we're going to start seeing that very soon here, especially if we have a full-blown conflict. Then we'll see it. Well, Deborah, thank you so much for calling in, okay?
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. God bless you. That was Deborah, first-time caller from Kentucky. You heard yourself 3 years ago. She bugged out. She didn't feel like she felt like a lot of the things that she was hearing on base as an RN were coming true. She was former military herself, and hearing those things freaked her out. That is pretty nuts. And I am not doing that, but the fact that basically they were closing down these places that were public places, and she was seeing this, and it was enough to make her go out and actually bug out. I don't blame her, though. I've had at least 2 times in the last couple years now. I felt the same way. Tina Eli, thank you for subscribing. Everybody that's new to this channel, understand there's shows like this 5 nights a week, or at least most of the time 5 nights a week. Thursdays, we've had 2 Thursdays in a row where we're working on projects for news. But make sure to hit that subscribe button. I know a lot of you guys are not subscribed. There's almost 5,700 here watching. So, and then we have more evidence, of course, of the China gene-specific targeting. We were talking about this last week, and now there are more news articles about this. It says U.S. warns of efforts by China to collect genetic data. Out of Bethesda, Maryland, it says Chinese firms are collecting genetic data from around the world, part of an effort by the Chinese government and companies to develop the world's largest biodatabase, American intelligence officials reported on Friday. The National Counterintelligence and Security Center said that in a new paper that the United States needs to better secure critical technologies, including artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, and other technologies related to the so-called bioeconomy. Now, Dex, I'm going to pull you in here if you can. They just said something extremely important as part of this entire thing, why Taiwan is such an incredible part of this. Taiwan has the production of semiconductors down. Until we have another replacement, and it's not as easy as just, hey, let's build a building and make this there. It's a more complicated thing than that. These are semiconductors. They're not, they're not 2x4s. You're not chopping wood. When you start getting into quantum computing and artificial intelligence, which we just covered, in fact, I did a short on YouTube on Main Channel News about the gentleman who was the first Pentagon software officer. He was the first of its kind. They made a position for this spot. He just resigned about a week and a half ago because he said, and his reasoning is the scary part. He said that China has surpassed us in AI, and surpassed us so bad that basically it's already a done deal. They have us on lock. They've defeated us in this arena. The common person doesn't know why that is so serious. We're talking about a thing that if you master and if you take control and combine it with the ability to manufacture and build weapons, you will dominate the world, and therefore you will be living under China if something isn't done right now. So maybe the part of the country that isn't, somehow swayed by money or this or that or political ties, I believe that there are some that probably want to stop this. There are other countries that are not completely corrupt. Most of them are. That feel like we need to go to conflict right now. Otherwise, we will be under the thumb of someone not very fun. Jeremy Gale, thank you for subscribing. TJ Dub, Avery Worldwide, AB, thank you. And Seth Covington, my kind of gal. Well, by the way, I mean, if she was born in the 60s, you guys know, she's essentially, she's towards 80 years old, and she's smarter and thinking more clear than most people in the city, that's for sure. China and other countries are trying to dominate these technologies and are using both illegal and illegal means to acquire American know-how. Now remember, there's no red tape to cut in China. They just steal. They can do whatever they want. Said Michael Orlando, the acting director of Counterintelligence Center, an arm of the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. The American private sector has long been in the crosshairs of China and other countries trying to steal American technology and intellectual property. Other countries like Russia also remain a threat, but the economic might of China might make it the biggest threat. So here's another thing about AI that I don't think people are realizing. Once you have AI and quantum computing done, it doesn't matter if one country has the best technology out there. Once you get to the point where you have an AI system and a quantum computer that can actually start making and inventing new technologies, then you own everything. Dex, we're talking about technology
Yes.
that will soon be able to make other technology. We're talking about Terminator type stuff.
Well, yeah, and this goes, this clearly goes back to the data and collecting of the data, and specifically what needs all that data. And when you have a large amount of genetic information, because that's some pretty big data sets, right? Millions and millions and millions. And then how do you process that? You need some heavy duty equipment. You need some really strong algorithms to do that. And that's why all this sort of comes together. But it's really clear when you see one country doing everything they can to harvest and collect and purchase, and like they invested in the 23 company. Did you know that China invested in the 23 and you know what company, right? Like they have gone heavy into getting their hands on, or at least getting their hands as close to possible, this genetic information so that they can compile these large databases and then turn around and use their systems on it so they can learn and do genetic things. And that's what we talked about earlier this week. And here we have this, report coming out saying, look at this. This is important. The U.S. is actually warning about, China and the collection of the data. It's almost the same thing we talked about from in the show earlier this week that was from data a couple years ago. And here it is again at the forefront.
So you basically, a lot of people in our audience heard this first. By looking at these trends every day and by digging deep, usually if anybody spent as much time doing this, they would probably grab it a week early too. So again, but we told you guys about this before. Now mainstream is going to be talking about this for the next week. And then real quick, while we're on the subject, China just the other day launched a weapon that wrapped around the planet, and we did not see it coming until after it had hit its target. Now, its target was luckily, and again, it was a little bit off, but it was still, we didn't see it until after it hit its target. They denied that it wasn't a fractional orbital bombardment system, which is basically something that we won't see coming. But now they've confirmed it was. This is a weapon that could have knocked out our entire power grid, and we wouldn't have known. So I hope people realize, things like that have now destabilized the entire planet. And they are way more worried. Ask any military in our audience right now, and we've got a ton of active military right down below. We have active military that are watching from base right now in the chat. Ask them if they think that that's nothing. If you want to protect yourself against that, that's why we started working. And we knew 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, that this would become a bigger thing. The previous administration signed an executive order. DHS came out with a warning telling us that more and worse things were going to happen and that they were worried about the entire grid going down. I was reading Peter Pry's book before he was the executive of the actual EMP task force for the White House, which he currently still is leading. You guys should go over to EMP Shield and make sure to go check it out. Again, right now, we have pushed them. They said that they were going to do the last contest that they're ever going to do. You can also go head over. If you do want to purchase actual protection against an EMP, I would highly recommend going over and doing so. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. It can protect you against all three phases of an EMP. And by you, I mean pretty much any device that you can think of, they make one for. There's a version for the car. It can actually ground the signal in a picosecond. You probably don't even know what a picosecond is, but it's under a nanosecond. It's faster. They also make one for your home, your solar system, your RV, your motorcycles, your generators. Most of it, though, is that, and then people say, well, what if the grid never comes back on? Your generator will. Your car will. You don't need electricity for that. And then your generator will run all of your devices that are not fried because they were all wired into your EMP shield. There's a contest right now going. If you want to purchase them and help out the channel at the same time, you can do so. Again, at marfooglenews.com/EMP. But if you do want to do the contest, make sure to go over to the website. Right above web-only content, there's actually a giveaway entry. It is their last contest. They've already given out, just to the Foogle fam alone, over $10,000 worth of EMP protection. Their goal, on and off camera, is to get everybody protected against this. The company is really cool. It's run by somebody who does similar stuff to us. Before they even had this company, they were preppers. In fact, the other founder, Andrew, has a YouTube channel. He's a prepper. The other founder was digging deep into stuff that, they don't even like you to dig deep into. So great people over there. Make sure to go check them out. All right, and then military is preparing for a space super highway complete with pit stops. Again, this is military, not the planet. This is the military. It says, like every household highway journey, future missions to the moon and past might require a couple of pit stops. U.S. Transportation Command and the U.S. House Power see a future area superhighway system and the place the U.S. industrial companions and allies would be capable to make repeat common journeys to the moon or past through a number of hubs that they place and they might just fuel up at, have upkeep executed, and even throw out their trash. Now they're serious about getting these orbiting pit stops up and working sooner quite than later. As a result, it's not nearly making the 238,000-mile lunar journey just a little extra comfy. It's about stopping China from constructing the hubs first. Dex, I'm going to have you pop in here. They are, for whatever reason, they're on a huge deadline. What is going on? Why do they need this right now? And why are they in such a hurry to put these things up?
Well, certainly this is a competition with, China and other countries. You don't want to lose this position, right? Because whoever creates these hubs is going to obviously own a significant opportunity to help interconnect between, say, the moon or to Mars or wherever else, right? So, we don't want to lose that dominance that we have, and it's pretty clear that others, including China, are making huge strides in space, right? Whether it's weaponization or just regular exploration, and we don't want to lose that opportunity that we have. We've also heard from some elites making statements that, why are they trying to get off planet as opposed to fixing things around here? In other words, meaning that they know that these people are getting off planet or trying to get off planet because there's something coming. And so obviously getting off planet, you're going to need to have the ability to, get to these checkpoints to be able to either refuel or, recharge or pause or do whatever you got to do along the way.
I think it's pretty clear that they are trying to get off planet, and even if you don't believe that, then they are definitely trying to set up something that the general public can't see. Even if you didn't believe that there was anything outside of it, that say that if you believe there's a dome there, I respect your view. Then they are definitely creating a system that's outside the public eye. If your theory was right, they would still be creating something that's outside the privy of the public eye, and they're doing it right now. They're setting up government. They're doing Asgardia is a real thing. It's a real government. It's not just some joke piece of paper that you spend $15 and, I'm an Asgardian citizen of space. The top levels of that are absolutely real, and they're doing the real paperwork to have a government in space. Maybe you could say, if you're just general, believe everything that is being said, maybe you believe, there's lots of money in space, and then we'll have space tourism, and we'll all be peaceful and floating around in space in a couple years. There's a reason Space Force was put in with no argument. People made fun of it, but there was no argument, and the second that T-Man was out of office, they didn't take down Space Force. They've now put more money into it. They're putting more into it. DOD shortly after that came out with what we said that they were going to say, is that they've weaponized space. DOD also came out with and said what we said 3.5 years ago, before any of this was said. We got the information and told you the information that the Starlink was part of a sensory, a defense. Now they told us it's part of a defense for hypersonic speed objects. Whether from Earth or from space, it would sense objects going hypersonic speeds to give us some leeway or some warning. A couple people here. Jillian Gems, thank you so much. And I'm sorry it took so long to get to you. Jillian Gems, thank you so much for your support tonight. 2 old people on a couch. Yes, my local Walmart said Halloween stuff was in the warehouse. I noticed lots of Christmas items out instead of normal inventory. Stuff is thinning out. So you're going to see whatever they have from last year, whatever you'll see. There's whole areas of candy that I just saw that was discontinued. And I said, they put it out, and then they put a sign on it saying, please don't grab. Well, it turns out that candy's 2 years old. And they pulled it back out. That's because they were trying to grab whatever they can. You're going to see a lot of stuff like that. You're going to see signs saying temporarily out of stock. You're going to see signs that, sorry, we need to restock. That's like, that's not even here yet. It's going to get, and I'm sorry that it's super scary to people. If you were listening to us the whole time, you wouldn't be afraid of anything running out on the shelves. You would have stuff stocked up. Amy R. says, great work. Still love you, Dex and the show. News tip, bomb cyclone headed for all of those anchored ships. 50-foot waves predicted. Amy R., well, we haven't forgot about you either. Amy R., thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you, and thank you so much for your continued support of the show. Again, I understand that people come, people go, people float in and float out of other creators and stuff. There's so much out there right now. There's so much information flowing. It's crazy. Simply Pony, thank you so much. Simply Pony. You're not Tony Simply. Craig Alicious says, looks like I'm getting V'd today. Wish me luck, gang. Craig Alicious, I'm assuming you got to keep your job or something. AB, Tina Eli, thank you. Avery Worldwide, TJ Dub, thank you. Jeremy Gale, Anita Mathis. And then Maddie's Mommy, 14. Glad to see you guys tonight. Thank you, Marf, Dex Mods, and everyone who helps this show happen. About this Marfoogle Fan Girl Club. Also, about this Marfoogle Fan Girl Club. I don't know what you're talking about. Angie Woolman, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Anita Mathis, thank you so much. Chinese scientists build anti-satellite weapon that can cause explosion inside of exhaust. So I was just talking with a vet in a parking lot of a Walmart today, and he actually, I'll be completely honest. I thought that he was a homeless vet. Turns out he was with his wife, but he did look rough. Maybe he did construction. He was missing a bunch of front teeth and really rough shaven, and came up and he saw a sticker on our car and said, "Oh, I'm military, this and that," and we support military, so we got the support the veterans. Started talking to me. I honestly thought he was a little loopy. And he ended up being one of the smartest people within 100 yards with a packed parking lot. That guy was the smartest guy I've met in a long time. He was on top of every story that I was on top of. As we were talking and I told him about everything that was going on with China, he knew everything. And I mean everything. He even said, he talked about the satellites being able to see down to the date on a quarter. The guy was so on top of it, I'm not even kidding you. I've never met somebody... I always try to not judge people by their cover. I did today. And honestly, in the Walmart parking lot of what people consider like the worst location ever, it's easy to do so. That guy taught me a few things today, and still has family in. They're saying the same thing. We are finally at what all of the crazy people were talking about. China is building this anti-satellite weapon that can cause explosion inside the exhaust of this. This is a very specific technology because without our satellites, we can't do anything. A team of Chinese military researchers say that they have built and tested an anti-satellite robotic device that can place a small pack of explosives into a probe's exhaust nozzle. This is literally the equivalent of some teenagers running up and putting a banana in the tailpipe. Only it's a much more expensive and much more important car. Rather than blowing the satellite into pieces, the melt-cast explosive can produce a, quote, time-controlled, steady explosion says the device could stay inside the satellite for an extended period by using a locking mechanism driven by an electric motor. If needed, the process can be reversed to separate it from the target. Dex, I'm going to bring you in. Why the hell would they put a like antidote on here? Is that for like blackmail? Like, hey, if you want your stuff back, we'll do that. Or your surrender? Okay, you want your satellites back? Do you surrender? What is this?
Wow, it sounds like it to me, but this is kind of interesting because we're hearing more and more about, and we talked about this earlier, about this investment in space and what's happening there with our adversaries. And, a lot of people have laughed at Space Force, and even some people still claim, oh, we don't even need it, right? But, when you look at what's happening with our adversaries and what they're doing, we have to protect our satellites. We have to protect the stuff that's up there, and we have to worry about what advancements everyone else is making.
Next section says the project was funded by a government scheme to develop a new type of warhead for rocket missiles, according to the paper. The device has been built and tested in a ground facility, and researchers said that it would have practical value in certain engineering applications. China conducted its first anti-satellite test in 2007, destroying a defunct weather satellite with a missile and drawing international criticism over the cloud space debris it created. I remember this. This was before I was on YouTube, but I remember this happening and reading all over the news. I want to say that part of this came in and burnt up or something. The United States and the former Soviet Union had conducted a large number of similar experiments during the Cold War. But these tests stopped after the 1980s because the debris puts valuable space assets and astronauts at risk. Kind of like the movie Gravity. I want to say it's Gravity. Yeah, Gravity with George Dex. Who's the good-looking guy?
Clooney.
George Clooney. George Clooney and Sandra Bullock.
Sandra.
The premise of the movie is one piece of space debris goes around Earth, and then it hits another, and then it starts a chain reaction. Then all of a sudden, every hour or so, or something like that, part of the movie, every 4 hours, this huge, it was like a rolling ball, like a rolling rock with moss, and it just gathers and gathers and gathered, and then it went through. And the dramatic part was that it kept coming back even bigger, and it was destroying things. It was like missiles going by and destroying everything in its path. They actually have considered this a serious problem. They've also come out with several pieces and evidence that this is actually one of the biggest threats to space objects. And they are trying to have the smartest brains in the world think of how they can stop it from happening. And then they just all of a sudden shifted to trying to figure out how to stop asteroids for whatever reason. Maddie's Mommy 14, thank you again for the massive support. And Real Noodle, Mr. Real Noodle, says, haven't been able to catch a live in a minute. Keep up the hard work. Be love. Spread love. Hey, well, thank you. Even if you don't see the live, thank you guys for doing the replays. I appreciate all of you. And then over on D Live, we have so many awesome people that just popped in. Straight to Jesus, Stoplight, Treat 'em Rough, and then Zippy Moons, and again, Malicious Schumann. Thank you so much for from creator to creator. You and your husband have supported, and Brendan is in here almost every show now. Like, that's really freaking cool. Thank you guys for bringing people in, and thank you just in general. Couple of the few creators I can host confidently know that it's going to be a fun time and positive. China developing 4,600 mile per hour hypersonic EMP missile that could plunge cities into darkness with a chemical explosion. Dex, okay, first of all, when I saw this, you found this, and I absolutely 100%. Is this not what I was talking about with you off camera about what the DoD said? And I said it on camera that they were worried about bio.
This is what you would call non-nuclear EMP, and they're talking about the technology that allows them to do it using hypersonic, using the upper atmosphere, but targeting cities or targeting smaller areas as opposed to the traditional HEMP, high altitude EMP.
So would this is something that it combines multiple things at the same time, right?
It sounds like it has the capability of doing multiple things, but this is, more advanced technology, and something that it sounds like it's much more targeted. Like you can go in and target areas.
It says the missile, which has a range of 2,000 miles and can travel at 6 times the speed of sound, is designed to create a chemical explosion over a city and cripple it within seconds. According to the team of researchers at the China Academy of the Launch Vehicle Technology in Beijing, it would stay within the Earth's atmosphere to dodge space-based early warning systems. Once over the target area, a chemical explosion is triggered that would compress an electrically charged magnet known as a, get this, flux capacitor. Just kidding. It's a flux compression generator. Flux compression generator. I really thought they were going to Back to Future us. This would convert the shock energy to short but extremely powerful electromagnetic pulses, EMP. We called all of these, all of this has been put out to us. The info has been there for you since before every event. Before the event right now that we're all covering for, go look through our videos. We showed you this, and that was because there was data being put out. There was articles. There were pieces of information from the 3-letter agencies. They were putting out graphs. They were putting out charts. How this event, which we've been going through for 2 years, 2.5 years, how it was going to happen. They even went as far as they were doing projections on how it would affect the economy and how it would destroy the economy. And now we're sitting here today, and it's not been 2 weeks. I don't know if you remember 2 weeks. All we have to do is shut down for 2 weeks. Now, fast forward, we're in the worst situation we've ever been as a planet. Ever. All of those people that called you crazy when you prepped back then, or maybe you weren't a prepper back then. Maybe you are one of the people that called those people crazy that said, hey, stuff is getting really bad. This is really, really bad. Maybe you're one of the people that called those people out, and now you finally woke up. Either way, people need to get their ducks in a row. Engineering scientist Sun Zhuang and his co-researchers, writing in a domestic journal called Tactical Missile Technology State, says it can release 95% of the energy in just 10 seconds, suitable for instantaneous discharge to cause electromagnetic pulse damage. This would cause the effective burnout of key electronic devices in the target information network within a range of 2 kilometers. It says the active stealth electromagnetic pulse weapon based on the energy regeneration conforms to the current development trend of rapid warfare, strong confrontation, and full dimensional information damage. Dex, can you translate that for us? The active stealth electromagnetic pulse weapon based on energy regeneration conforms to the current development trend of rapid warfare, strong confrontation, and full dimensional information damage. Was this military guy, were they just trying to fill an essay for 10,000 words? Or
that's some big words, but I'm sure they all mean something, right?
Now, give me you read it at the same time. I think it says that it's basically they can hit spots extremely quick and extremely silent.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole point. The fact that they can't be detected and they can do it from high above, and it's a new technology. It gives them something new, right? This is much different than the traditional EMPs that we talk about, which are called HEMPs. Where there's just one big one right above Kansas area and it hits all of the U.S. This gives them a totally different, tactical advantage where they can target out certain areas. They can do it without any, detection, probably following some sort of fractional orbital bombardment system trajectory where it comes around and it's up in orbit and no one will see it, and then attack similar to the glide system we were talking about, but they'll be able to attack from above with this new technology of an EMP weapon.
So they could potentially hit all the major cities like that, or hit all of the bases, or hit all of the areas like that. Boom, turn off the lights, and then do something else, or strategically hit the places they've already infiltrated. They already hacked in and they found out how to do. Oh my gosh. Okay, so by the way, if you did not know this, part of the SolarWinds hack, if you don't know what the SolarWinds hack was the largest hack in history. It happened last year. And it broke into all 5 of the military branches, including Space Force. And it accessed Black Start. Black Start was our program. If we had our entire grid shut down, Black Start was the guide on how we were going to get that started back up. So if the 9 locations that they said at the time when they did this, they said, wow, you only have to knock out 9 specific locations in the United States of America to knock out the entire grid. So you wouldn't have to hit the whole country, even if you physically took a plane or just landed it right into 9 different locations. You could knock out the entire grid. That's how interconnected it is, and that's how bad it is that, because it's 9 locations. That was at that point. But if those 9 were taken down, they said that it could take 9 months to 2 years to get back up and running. Black Start would be their guide on getting those all up and running. They accessed that, and they specifically accessed that. So they were trying to get to the plan of how we would start back up. And the reason why is because once we go into Black Start and we go, okay, we gotta get things going again. Everything is down. The president is up on, the Mercury or the Doomsday plane. They're doing everything remotely. They're in the mountain. They're in Cheyenne Mountain. They're doing all this stuff. We are going to Black Start to turn everything back on. We're trying to turn the switches back on. Well, guess what? The enemy accessed that plan, so therefore they are now hitting the secondary plants. They're hitting the secondary switches. They're hitting all of the places that they know would be in charge of replacing those first ones. When they accessed that, I know that the U.S. government flipped out. They said, holy crap, because this isn't stuff that they could just rewrite the plan or rewrite the play. These are places that you would have to physically build, because guess what? Now they know the locations of all of the places where they need to fix this Black Start. They need to restart. And they just did that. And now we see all of this. By the way, we're going to show you pictures. China is loading tanks into those civilian ferries and into those things right now. We'll show you that here in a minute. The major advantage of their new weapon is that the enemy would not know it was on the way, because it speeds through the air at hypervelocity. Air molecules are ionized by the heat and form a thin layer of plasma over the missile surface, which effectively acts as a cloak that can absorb radar signatures, but not all. The Nanjing-based hypersonic researcher not involved in the project said that the idea was feasible, the South China Morning Post reports. Peter Pry, this is the gentleman that we talked about years ago, former CIA officer and now director of the EMP Task Force on the National and Homeland Security Task Force, warned China is on the verge of deploying or has already deployed hypersonic weapons that could potentially be armed with nuclear or non-nuclear EMP warheads, greatly increasing the threat of surprise attack against U.S. forces in the Pacific and against the United States. And guess what? They've listened to him because they just moved the Iron Dome system to Guam. We're not talking about the Middle East. We're talking about Guam. They are practicing landing on highways with A-10 Warthogs and C-130s and refueling planes. So it's pretty clear that they are preparing for something massive. Rebecca Lawton, thank you. LG Gig, thank you. And Wiggly's4, thank you for subscribing. Same with Jamie. Seth Covington says, I got to go. Sorry, I'd love to meet that lady cave girl. Seth Covington. Yeah, I know. She's very awesome. Awesome caller. Jason McCormick, thank you. Real quick, I want to remind you right now, while you still can, I would make sure to go over and check out Essentials of Life. If you haven't prepped yet and you are looking to prep, specifically, this is for the people that watch the show that do want to get prepped up and have the ability to do so. I would highly recommend going over to marfooglenews.com/prep. They have everything from iodine pills to 1 month, 3 month, 6 month supplies of food. And it's all long-term survival food. So it is all that has long shelf lives and will last through all of the thick of it. They have survival gear. They have emergency radios. They have gadgets, battery banks, first aid and medical. They have books, survival books on what to eat if you are stuck in that position. More importantly, though, the reason why they say 90% of us would perish if all the lights go out is because we would not have access to potable, drinkable water. Everyone should have water filtration, period. You should have extra, enough water filtration or a system or something that you can get through a year of filtering. And if you can't now, make sure to slowly build up. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/prep. Not only will you help the show at the same time, they will give us a small commission for sending you over, but you'll also get a discount. If you do a 3-month supply of food, they're doing $100 off right now. Dex, let's get our next caller on. It looks like we have... Again, the number is 224-400. Marf, Aloha Prepper, shipping problems and holidays, and the Reapers are in Hawaii right now. Calling from North Carolina. What is, let's get Aloha Prepper on. Aloha, you're live on Marfoogle News.
Aloha, Adam. How are you?
Aloha, mahalo. So what's going on?
Mahalo is thank you.
Well, thank you.
Well, a couple of things I wanted to point out that I don't think is getting a lot of coverage. You know, they're offering a solution with the shipping problems in Long Beach of making the port run 24 hours and running trucks from, you know, like Amazon, whatever. I think people don't realize that that's union busting against the longshoremen and the Teamsters, which are two of the most powerful unions in the country. And that could go really bad. If they strike nationwide, we are truly screwed, right?
Yeah, but they're also saying that they might do this by somehow putting National Guard there, which is what we said weeks and weeks ago. We said, well, if they're replacing everybody else that's leaving their jobs with of course, you know, National Guard, why aren't they doing it over there in California at the ports? So, but
it's still union busting, though.
Yeah, no, it would, and then it would be affecting
the unions aren't going to take that well. They're not. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it ends. I just am concerned, right?
Well, that's also their job. That nobody else is supposed to be doing a union's job.
Right. And they've spoken out against this. The reason it's not 24 hours is because the longshoreman union is against that. So I don't know, but that's a more volatile situation than it seems on its face, is what I want to say there.
Well, no.
And that affects all of us.
Yeah, no. If they just stopped altogether, we're not even talking a shortage. We're talking about a complete breakdown of society. There's no groceries in your grocery store. The groceries get loads every single day. That would be from those folks that are part of these unions.
Yeah, well, or those that support them, right? They don't even have to be a member of the union to support, what they're doing. So, yeah, it could go very badly for us if they push that. I don't think it's as simple as people just seem to think it is. So I just wanted to point that out and be sure everybody's aware, this could go bad.
Oh, no, so, I agree with you. And then you said something about Hawaii. What did you want to say about Hawaii?
Oh, well, that's the you owe me a new pair of underwear story.
Oh, let's hear.
Okay, so I'll tell you what happened. I was out on Marine Corps Base Hawaii camping, tent camping. And when you camp here, you're looking at the flight line, yeah? And it actually had been a pretty rowdy weekend, It was just really busy and loud. And everyone was gone that night. And I thought, oh, I got a quiet evening. I'm just camping. And I noticed that a reaper landed here. And we don't have reapers. We didn't have reapers here. We have predators, but not reapers. And I was like, what is that doing here? And don't you know that just as that happened, I got the notification for your show and you named it Red October.
Oh, no.
Holy smokes, what is going on?
I bet.
But it turned out that we got reapers here, and they were just flying in. It was the first time they had flown in from the mainland to here. It's funny now, but it was not funny that night.
And just to let you know, so here's how the definition puts it. It says, what is the difference between a Predator and Reaper drone? It says the main difference between the MQ-1 Predator and the MQ-9 Reaper is the size, mission, payload, speed, and range. So the Reapers are like way bigger than the Predators. Isn't that right?
They're not way bigger, but they're bigger. I could tell the difference. I knew it wasn't a Predator when it landed, right? But I just knew what a Reaper looked like, so I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, they're out here hunting. There's subs all around me, because I'm right on Kaneohe Bay. Yeah? Oh, it really gave me a start. I could laugh at myself now, but I was looking for weapons. I didn't know what to do.
Now, let me ask you this. So you got Reapers in Hawaii. Have you noticed anything different about Hawaii in general since all of this started? Have you seen more...
Yeah.
More military action?
Yeah, we're flying hard. They're flying hard here. So, but they've been doing that, since they did the exercises just south of us. There's been a bigger force. Although when that news came out, that day, all the birds were down. Every bird was down. They didn't fly anything. When they were testing, doing a drill, Russia.
Yeah.
They put all the birds down, but we're flying hard. They're flying hard right now. And I can't really say a lot on the air what they're doing. Like the Reapers being here, that's now public. They had actually announced it, but I hadn't seen it. I just saw the Reaper land, and then you named the show Red October that same night.
Sorry. I know what show you're talking about.
It is.
I know why we named it that too. So yeah, I would understand.
Well, they flew all the way here, and I actually called you then and left the message and said, well, the Reapers made it, and I barely made it, but they made it just fine.
Well, along with you and Just in Time and a few others that are in Hawaii on different islands, let us know what you see. If this is why it's important to have Foogle family all over the place, because if something goes down in Hawaii, please let us know. Okay, don't please let us know first if you can.
I'll email you Dex has my info, so if you could do that. There's just not always a whole lot I can say on air, right? It's not good to do that.
Okay,
so,
well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Using what you know off air that you can't say, are you nervous about the future?
Yep. And that's what I wanted to go into. It's just, there's a lot there. I'm trying to avoid saying. You get what you have up there. They flew here from Creech, and it was the first time they ever made a trans-Pacific flight. And they did, and they're here now. So obviously they are anticipating a lot more submarine activity, and that's the difference between the Reaper and the Predator too. Is the Reaper's a sub hunter. It's a sub hunter,
Well, we talked about they also deployed the other sub hunters, and they're deploying them in mass. So what are
Yeah,
they are expecting some.
They're flying hard.
Yeah, this is.
They're
really
flying
creepy.
hard. I can say that because that's obvious. Everybody can see that. Everyone on the island knows they're flying hard.
Now, when you say they're flying hard, are you seeing military up in the air just all day, every day?
Constant. Yep.
Are you seeing
and
jets?
there's some unusual activity that I can't really go into, but they're doing drills that they don't normally do, and they're intensifying the ones they do normally do. So, yeah.
Do you guys have any drills that are happening island wide, like anything recently?
No, not that I'm aware of. I'm mostly on base, so but I don't know too much going on off base either.
Now, are you
just,
military or are you military family?
Retirees, so I'll talk to you offline.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So, okay, so what the last thing I wanted to talk about is everyone knows, this Christmas is going to be rough for a lot of people. People who have found themselves unemployed for whatever reason they did. And just people are having a hard time. Prices are high. So, prepping is not just about getting as much for yourself that you can. Maybe you can look around like your children's toys that have been gently used, that someone could make a great gift for another child that needs it, another family, help their Christmas. But also, some people aren't comfortable, like giving emergency foods to family or whatever, even though it's a good idea to have it for them. It freaks some people out. So I wanted to suggest maybe making meals in jars, and there's like a ton of YouTube videos for that. Just make a whole lot of homemade Christmas type gifts. Meals in jars would be great for both your family and to give as gifts to others, so that you're not, that's not a totally unusual thing to do. It's going to be rough. I think
basically
it's going to be a really rough Christmas.
Yeah, I do too. I know so. So basically, like, give them kind of like the what kind of cake is that? The fruit cake that you give at Christmas that people just go, oh sure, I love it, and then they put it in their cupboard. You're hoping that they put that jar and go, who would eat this? This is like canned mashed potatoes or something. They put it in the back of their cupboard, but then when they need it, they'll have it.
Yeah. Well, have you ever seen the meals in a jar? Have you ever seen any of those?
Well, I mean, canned goods. I don't know if you're talking about something.
No. Oh, you got to look it up on YouTube. There's tons of videos. No, you take dried foods, like all the ingredients You can make a chicken pot pie, whatever. There's so many different options, and you put it in a mason jar. You put it all in there dry, and then they add broth or whatever, and it makes the meal. Or you add water.
Yeah, no,
it's really incredible what people have come up with.
Oh yeah. And Etsy actually has a great section devoted to that. No, I now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean it's the same. Yeah. It's essentially shelf food. Yeah. Well, we're running out of...
It's shelf food, but it's kind of a little more than your emergency preparedness stuff, right?
Exactly. We're running out of time, but I do want to ask you. As you said, it's okay for me to contact you off camera. I would like to talk to you. Yeah, that would be great. It was nice meeting you, and I hope to talk to you in the future. Okay.
Okay. Aloha.
All right. Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Have a good day. Now, okay, so that was a great call. Aloha Prepper. Let's get Nancy on before we talk. Okay, let's get this out of the way. There are big things right here. So we have armada of 10 Chinese and Russian warships is sailing around, surrounding. We'll talk about that here in a second. First, video shows a ship packed with Chinese tanks for future battlefield in Taiwan. This is coming out of Chinese media, and they are physically showing the actual ferries and things like this loaded with the tanks. Is this an exercise? I don't know. I sure hope so. These are the real deal Holyfield tanks right here. It says China's military on Friday, today, released a video showing a massive passenger ship fully loaded on every level with battle tanks and assault vehicles for a future battlefield in Taiwan. People, this battle would... There's a chance that this could be all of a sudden we're just in the next couple days something's happening. I hope people are paying attention. That's why you can't procrastinate on prepping. You can't procrastinate on getting your ducks in a row. It's just responsible. Now, on the other hand, don't go nuts. Be responsible. Don't make your family think you're crazy. Look at this from a responsible point of view. If you are followed up on all of this news, then you should be paying attention. Then you already know why you're doing this. But for somebody who doesn't follow everything that's going on right now and every little bit of it, they're going to think you're nuts. The general public, their view is right now, Facebook is asking people to snitch on people that are too prepared. I don't know why. Maybe that is the infiltrated part of our government working, and that's literally could be a branch of something that was approved and got through because there's people that are infiltrated. I don't know why in the world they would be looking for that. If they're trying to say that that's, domestic DT, blah, 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 that's bull. Yeah, that's bull crap. That's just crazy. But we told you and we showed you specifically, and we pointed it out to you and we put it right in your face. We said, look at these civilian ferries. They're converting them to drop ships. And now it is happening. They're filling these civilian ferries to the brim, multiple levels with tanks. Dex, this is freaky.
Absolutely, Adam, it is. And, they're so tight, you can't even walk through. You look at those pictures, and the ferries, they don't look like, you don't look at it and go, oh, there's a military amphibious ship coming at me. It just looks like a regular ship, looks like a ferry ship or some sort of small cargo ship, but it is full, and they've converted all these. We know they said they were going to do it, and they've done it, and they're testing it. Now, some people have said, because I made a short on this one, and some people were saying, well, maybe they're coming here. And I don't know that these ships are actually the types of ships that would go all the way across the Pacific, unlike cargo ships, which would, right? But these are definitely the types of ships that can make that short run an island hop or from China to Taiwan, right?
What if those cargo ships all had tanks on them? What if the 90 plus ships run by the Chinese port, just hypothetically, what if those were all tanks and they waited until they got, oh my gosh, that's so scary to think about. That's so scary to think about. What if all of those cargo ships floating out there were actually filled with tanks?
Well, we just had 40 shipping containers that were lost up in near Vancouver Island, near the Juan de Fuca, and they have combustibles on them, and they're trying to figure out where they are, and they're telling people to avoid the area. You heard that?
No, I didn't. Do we have an article that?
Yep, I just threw it in screener. But these strange things, and now don't get me wrong, I mean, containers do fall off, they do hit rough seas, this stuff happens before, but it's rare that we hear about it like this, and it's rare that you hear something as large as 40 going off. And so when you start to think about, like, what could they be full of something? Could they have something in it? Not necessarily that was this an accident or was this planned? I don't know, right? They're reporting it as an accident.
Or are they saying it's explosives because they don't want you to go looking, or fishermen to go by it and say, hey, there's tanks in the water? You know what I thought of? And hypothetically, this is a Chinese-controlled part of the port, and 0 trucks are coming out. So that's what's being said. You've got 100+ ships all loaded to the brim with all these containers. And these containers, these ships are what would actually have to transport tanks. But if you had these ships coming one at a time, then we would just bomb the crap out of those ships. So you would have to strategically figure out how to get these ships all the way to our coast. How would you defend them from our jet? I mean, our jets they're so huge, they would be easy to find. You would have to have a defensive thing. You would have to have a defensive escort for every ship and have just tons of stuff and somehow fight off everything. That is a really scary thought. Like, people have been more scared and talking about how there could be launchers in there. What if those were full-blown tanks, that was the force? Why are they all stocked up, and why is nothing leaving the California ports?
Well, or the only ports that are operating are the ones not run by China, and the one that is run by China is not operating, according to that tweet, right? There's nothing going through, so maybe they're holding their stuff intentionally. It's great. It's a scary thought, and I know a lot of people are thinking it. But everything we're talking about is on the West Coast, and our next caller, Nancy, has got some really interesting information from Canada down through the East Coast that I think is going to enlighten everybody as well.
All right, perfect. Let's get Nancy on. I'm excited. I can't believe President B said they would defend Taiwan. That's insane. What a turn of events. Nancy, you're live on Marfoogle News.
Hi, Adam. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. So you have some information that's prudent.
Well, I'm thinking it is. I've been following things for a number of years. I've been born in 68. I'm 53, not 80, by the way. And I've been watching things develop for many, many years. And for 30 years, I've been called crazy. But now everybody that calls me crazy have been apologizing and saying, you were right, you were right. So the Ernest Harmon Air Force Base in Stephenville, Newfoundland, was opened in and around 1940. My grandfather was actually one of the first people on that base. He was a assistant fire chief. So I kind of grew up with it in our blood. It closed down in the late 60s. Sorry, I'm nervous.
That's all right.
It closed down in the late 60s because it wasn't needed anymore for the Cold War. But ever since then, every 2 years, we have what's called a friendly invasion. They come, they put on a full military show, air show, bring in all different equipment. And in 1998, they had a mock invasion, which was a full-out war. It was a play war. Ships came in off the coast. They landed with their vehicles right on the shore, and they completely took over and had this mock war for about 3 weeks in the summertime. So ever since then, every 2 years, we have a friendly invasion. So I watched this, guys, because my house in Newfoundland is right on the ocean in a small town next to Stephenville, about 11 kilometers. So about 5 years ago, I started seeing a lot more military planes coming in from the States, not during this friendly invasion time. Plane would land, stay for 2 weeks. People were saying, oh, they must have a broken engine or need a part. I'm like, no, they're doing surveillance. They're doing surveillance. They're analyzing the situation, because all of a sudden you were seeing more paratroopers come in, almost like they were practicing. So I said to people, I'm not safe here because I've got a big mouth. I'm not really that safe here if we have, if anything happens in the United States, and if we have that great number 3 that we're talking about. Stephenville is very important because where she's located, she's a protection for the North American continent without being on North America. If you look and see where we're on the map, and you actually look where Stephenville is, it's right in a hidden bay, a bay that's protected from most Atlantic weather, has a deep sea harbor, has a airport that is one of only a couple of airports in the world that can land the shuttle. So we've been on the list, and that's why they keep the airport open, was so that we actually, if they need to land the shuttle, they can land it in Stephenville. You can verify all this. So we had a big announcement a couple of months ago about this new company that came in and just bought the Stephenville airport for $200 million. Then we find out that the white trucks that you're talking about, there were apparently 6 planes that flew in just before the announcement. So my red flags went up right away, because I feel like this $1.5 billion contract to build drones that this community of 6,500 has just been awarded through this company called Diamond is all a part of the military, because it's a military contract in one of the safest places in the world, where they're protected by everything completely off the radar, which makes me believe that what's happening in the United States is coming way quicker than any of us would ever hope to imagine. And if you look on the projection for an EMP for the North America, you'll notice that Newfoundland is not on the projection to be taken out by an EMP. And you'll notice that Fort McMurray is not on the projection to be taken out. Why? We have the largest oil deposits with the oil sand. They need that. They want to keep that safe. Newfoundland has oil in abundance, and the North Atlantic Link is finished. That North Atlantic Link leads from Muskrat Falls in Labrador, and it crosses underneath the ocean and goes to Nova Scotia. When that is finished, it can provide power to the United States, Washington, D.C., Plymouth, those areas. So people saying, where are you going to get the power? Newfoundland is your power source. The link runs right by Stephenville, protected, and now with the Army coming in, even more so all the time, flying planes in the middle of the night, bringing in supplies, and Newfoundlanders are totally oblivious to it because they're just so excited to get jobs, they don't care where it comes from. So I think the fact that that's happening should make everybody get a little bit more prepared, because the fact that they're moving in Stephenville means they're getting ready. So, do you have any questions?
No, I honestly, I'm probably going to end up going over my own show tonight and going back on your statements. So you're saying that they are moving things around there, and of course this plays a bigger part because this place has been used as an exercise, and it's obviously got a very strategic place in this whole next conflict.
It's one of the most strategic places in North America to have a base, which is why the Americans put it there. in the early 40s for the Second World War. And they left a lot of stuff behind, and there's stuff that's supposed to be hidden in underground bunkers. A lot of rumors in the area about things that were left behind in that. But they've always maintained a presence. Why are the Americans going back every 2 years to have air shows in a little rinky-dink town that means nothing to nobody? Other fort bases that they close, they do not maintain the presence that they do in Stephenville. And every 2 years, we have what's called a friendly invasion. Why are they playing on the name friendly invasion? See, I'm a cultural anthropologist as well. So I don't just look at the smaller picture, I look at the large picture. And I've watched things develop over 30 years. I read the Bible as an atheist and studied it as an anthropologist, so I see different truths. So I've been watching things happen progressively over the years, and the last couple of years, faster than I would have ever even hoped that it was going to happen. You can see things playing out. But the fact that there's so much movement in Stephenville with military that's not Canadian, see, that's the key. They maintain rights to that base for another 20 years. They had a 99-year lease on that base. So they, in fact, can come and reappropriate that land at any moment. So the fact that they're slowly buying it up, they've been investing money into doing up the old hangars. We know that there's underground shelters in there, and apparently they've been cleaning stuff like that up. So it's just, with everything that's going on in Stephenville, I know the States is not far. You guys got a lot to be worried about down there. And I feel very sorry for you. And I wish I could move all of you to Newfoundland or to Fort McMurray. Because I moved from Newfoundland to Fort McMurray 2 years ago, because where is the only other safe place that I feel? It's up here, because we're so north. They're protecting the oil sands. Even though they seem like they're against the oil sands, it's because they need to protect it. Because if anything goes down in North America, we have a supply of oil up here. You know, they cut that pipeline for a reason. Would they want that pipeline being blown up in the middle? So keep the oil safe on top of the ground where it's to the moment they need it. And China owns half of our oil fields. So
no, I agree with you. There's certain places that if right. It's strategically that they needed to take out a country, there's certain places. That's why they have backup plans on how to starve them out. There's plans on some of the right. strategic areas that, like, so say if China invaded the U.S., knew it was going to win, but there's one of the bases that is, got some valuable resource. They're not gonna take it out. They're gonna starve it and surround it until that they can get it back. They're not going to destroy it. Something I keep hearing. And go ahead.
You go. No, you go.
Well, something I keep hearing is people say, well, the United States owes China so much money. Why would they ever take out, why would they ever take us out? We owe them so much money. They want their money. They are winning way more than the $20 trillion or $50 trillion or however many trillions we owe them. They're going to get way more than that when they take over the United States. They will take the whole world. They will have the whole world underneath their thumb. The resources,
and
everything.
What people don't realize about Newfoundland is Newfoundland has every resource known to man pretty well. It's like the best kept secret on this world. And it's very valuable to the United States as a strategic point for protection for North America. So when China's coming in, they want the resources. They want to control the people, and, they want you guys to work for them. So that's why the oil field, I feel, is like they own too much of the oil field up here. So they're not going to hurt us up here because they want that oil ready to go. If they take out the grid in North America, we have enough oil left up here that as soon as they start it up again, it can completely, provide for the United States as well as Newfoundland's oil. There's a big oil resource in Newfoundland. So they're not poor countries. Newfoundland for years has been, poor Newfoundland, no work, no jobs. But natural resource-wise, we are the richest place in the world per capita. Well hidden and well-kept secret. So very, very important for the United States. And for the white trucks, we'll call them, because it protects all of North America. And with the radar and the landing and the airport capable of landing any plane out there. So the fact that they're moving so much in Steamville makes me know that we are closer than I would even have hoped that we would be right now. And I just thought I'd share that with everybody. And I mean, you can fact check everything I'm saying. It's out there. It's just a well-kept secret.
No, I want to thank you for calling in and giving us that nugget of information, because obviously, we're all in our own little zones, especially after lockdown. It's like, we're stuck into our geographical areas. We don't get to hear from all over the world. Some of us might be good at, obviously, some of this, knowing the world over, but obviously there's a lot here. There's a lot. We need to be looking at every place around the world, what they are doing, what they are preparing for. That's what we're trying to do. That's why we go outside the United States to get a lot of our news as well. We go to Norway, we go to Switzerland, we go to Germany. We try to get news from everywhere, so we know that there's no other perspectives that we're not missing. Right now, that multiple countries are saying that they either need to hide their militaries or get their militaries out. Some are begging at this last minute, saying, like, I want to stay neutral. Can we please be left out of this? They're actually talking about that at these summits. So I want to thank you for calling in. I really do appreciate this, and I'm going to have to go over your call.
You're very welcome. I just figured that it would be something that you would want to know, considering how you've been following everything for the last number of years. And it's just that when I found out about this $1.5 billion contract for drones and everything, what's going in our bodies, because right now I can't even go home because I didn't get the magic potion inside of me or whatever. So I'm not even allowed to get on a plane because our prime minister is fanatically, like, I can't believe that is the guy I voted for years ago, like, because what's happening in Canada is scary. It's unbelievably scary. Like, I know what I know, and I can't believe he's taken it this far. Like, we're in the process now of applying for religious exemptions. I have one friend that's making headway only because she is solely basing it on the Book of Revelation. She has to keep every aspect out of it, base it simply on the Book of Revelation, and try not to tell her truths. Because if you tell the truths that people think you're crazy. People probably lock me in a loony bin for the things that I've been talking about for 30 years. But now it's all coming to pass. So I'm just telling everybody that, remember, like, I know that they're going down there, but Newfoundland is the safest place on earth. I'm just not in Newfoundland now because I'm from Newfoundland, and with the way everything is going down there, I've been too big of a mouth that I'm a target. If anything happens and food supply gets low, people know that I always have enough food. Like, I've got 25 years of rice just because I'm nervous if I can't go into a store eventually. And it is getting that bad up here. So just remember, everybody, if it really gets that bad out there and you can make your way to Newfoundland, it's the Father's ancient mountains. Paleontology proved that the Appalachian Mountains in Newfoundland are the oldest mountains on earth. So if anything does happen, run to the ancient mountains. So that's why I'm just trying to tell everybody, and hope everybody gets lots of blessings from the Father, and stay safe, everybody. And I'm praying for everybody, and I wish I could bring you all here, but I can't. But just remember, Newfoundland, if it gets really bad and the borders are broken and anything, if you can get your way there, it is safe. The American government would not be reintroducing their military there if they did not think it was safe.
Nancy, this is Dex.
So
Adam, we have less than 2, maybe 1 left.
Well, Nancy, we're going to have to let you go because we need to at least touch on this last story. Thank you, Nancy. And again, I did not know that about Newfoundland. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you again. It's your first time call. Don't make it your last, and I mean that. All right. That was Nancy from Newfoundland. I possibly could be getting that wrong. Dex, thank you so much, everybody. The show actually continues on to Marfoogle Jams if the live show cuts. I want to thank a few people. Amy R., especially, thank you so much. Over on, again, Amy R. and Maddie's Mommy 14, thank you for going above and beyond. There were several people that helped. The reason why is if we go over 2 hours, this whole show ends up not processing for 15 hours. It's insane. So this show is going to cut, but the live show, I'm just going to hit this real quick so we get it out of the way. Armada of 10 Chinese and Russian warships is sailing around Japan. We'll update you more on this, but this is not good. There is a lot happening here all at the same time. You guys, I honestly, I think her advice, don't go nuts, but I would highly recommend you actually put that in the back of your brain and you file it away. There are real things happening right now. And then, of course, I showed this on screen. China shows off its remote control drones made out of Soviet-era fighter jets. They have kits. Somebody says, well, is this more financially good, but better than making new ones? Yes, it is. For about, I want to say $35,000, they said that they could make these kits and turn these into AI-driven, software-driven drones with facial recognition and camera and everything. That's incredibly scary. That's compared to the $1 million or $1 billion that these Predator drones or whatever. These could be suicide jets. They don't have a person in them. They go Mach speeds. That's incredibly scary. Johnny Sparks, Benny Neely, Pan Pankey, thank you guys. We're going to be doing the shoutro. It's where we say thank you to everybody that matters most.